Welcome back, book readers, book burners, book lovers. It's the number one book, bro. If we look at web mechanics, and this is very foundational, how the internet works is very very interesting, and there's some very fundamental facts that you need to understand if you want to understand how the internet works. If you see here, client computer running a browser, you're going to make an HTTP request to a web server. That web server turns around, runs a process that takes you to a storage device, and let's call it a SQL server, MongoDB, something along those lines. It retrieves some data that you're requesting using your browser, sends that data back over TCP/IP, port 80.443. This is port 80. HTTP is port 80. It's a response back to the client computer that is running that browser and making the request, right? I'll read the article. In the above diagram, the client computer running the browser sends an HTTP request to the server. The web server receives the request and attempts to process it. The server goes to the storage to fetch information to be returned to the client. After the information is fetched, the web server returns the information back to the client using an HTTP response. Now let's hop over here and look at the HTTP request header sample. Remember, in an HTTP request, you have, within this request, you have a header, you have a body, and you have a line in between the header and the body. And within this header, there's the administrative information that's identifying the resource and type of information that's being requested from this web server. Here's a better detailed analysis of what's inside of that header. This is a sample HTTP request, line by line annotation as follows. You get a GET request, HTTP/1.1. GET is the method being requested. The resource requested is an index.html. The HTTP version of this request is 1.1. You got a host. The host field declares the host to which the request is intended. This is to support the name-based virtual hosting, where one single IP could host multiple websites of different names, right? You've got a user agent. In this case, it's Mozilla 5.0. You could be using Firefox. You could be using Chrome. It just depends on what you use. You know, you could even be using Safari if you're on your phone. This is just your browser. The user agent field lets the server know what kind of user browser is being used. And then you've got a referrer. The referrer field lets the server know how the client has been led to this resource. And that's very important. As we go further along into this study, we'll understand what the referrer, more of what the referrer does. URL listed has directed the client to request the index.html page at www.sans.org. And that's, in a nutshell, how the HTTP request works. You've got a header, you've got a body, and you've got certain details within the body of this request. There's certain administrative details within the body of this request. And you've got the type of request. This is a GET request. And there's other different types of requests that can be requested, like fetch, or there's others. You'll see those shortly. There's a host that's being requested. The host page, we're looking for sans.org. User agent, this is just the referrer that's letting the web server know the type of browser that's being utilized, so the web server knows how to respond. And then you've got the referrer. And that's how HTTP works. Again, This is the #1 book, bro. I am going over my book SANS SEC 5/2022 application security, securing web apps, APIs, and microservices. The booklets that came along with that course, I'm just sharing them with you guys, making videos so that we can kind of understand them together. Hope you guys enjoy. #1 book, bro, out. Peace and love.